Women don't lose sleep over men. They lose sleep over the parts of themselves they can't shut off. It's not heartbreak keeping her awake, not loneliness, not missing someone's arms or voice. It's unresolved desire with no permission to exist. All day long, she's disciplined, composed, rational. She performs the version of herself that makes sense in the light, productive, respectable, controlled. But night doesn't reward performance. Night strips it away. And when the distractions fade, the real conflict surfaces. Men are external. Men come and go. Desire is internal. And internal conflicts don't sleep. Desire doesn't need her attention to stay alive. It only needs silence. It waits patiently while she handles responsibilities, checks boxes, plays her role. But once the world quiets, desire takes the floor. Not as fantasy, not as romance, but as tension, as pressure, as a reminder of something unfinished. She isn't lying there thinking about him. She's thinking about what wanting awakens inside her, the part of her that feels vivid, reckless, alive, the part she keeps under control because it doesn't fit neatly into daylight life. That's why nights feel heavier, because control is exhausting, and desire knows when it's weakest. The mind can argue all day, but at night, the body remembers, and memory has weight. That's the enemy she's wrestling with in the dark, not a man, but herself. Because what she suppresses all day comes alive at night. Men carry a fantasy that flatters them more than it explains women. They believe women lie awake obsessing over people over faces, names, memories, missed chances. That she's replaying conversations, scrolling old messages, wondering what he's doing right now. That belief feels good because it places the man at the center of the story. But it's wrong. Women don't obsess over people the way men do. They obsess over states, over feelings, over versions of themselves that only surface around certain experiences. When a woman thinks at night, she's not fixated on who someone is. She's fixated on who she becomes when desire is activated. The confidence, the softness, the danger, the freedom, the sense of expansion she doesn't feel in her controlled daytime life. Men assume they are being missed. In reality, they are being used as reference points. Triggers, mirrors. A man is not the obsession the internal shift he provoked is. This is the fundamental contrast most men never grasp. Men miss people. Women miss states of being. You miss her presence, her bow, her voice. She misses the version of herself that existed when desire was allowed to breathe. The woman who felt awake instead of managed. The one who wasn't editing every impulse or negotiating every feeling. That's why removing the man doesn't solve the problem. The absence doesn't quiet the mind, because the hunger was never about him in the first place. This is also why men get confused when attention feels intense but inconsistent. One night, she feels emotionally charged, present, almost magnetic. The next day, she's distant, regulated, controlled again. Men read that as mixed signals. It's not mixed, it's cyclical. Daytime self versus nighttime self. Control versus craving. Image versus instinct. So when you imagine her lying awake thinking about you, understand this. She's not thinking about you. She's thinking about what wanting you awakens. the part of her that feels real, alive, unrestricted. And that's far harder to silence than a memory of a man. Desire attacks at night because night is where control runs out. During the day, her psychology is built around performance. She manages herself. She edits reactions. She stays inside the version of herself that functions competent, composed, restrained. Daytime rewards control. It demands discipline. It keeps identity intact through structure and repetition. But night strips that scaffolding away. When the lights go out, the identity she maintained all day begins to loosen. This isn't romance. It's circadian reality. The mind shifts states when there's no one left to perform for. At night, there is no audience, no reputation to protect, no role to maintain. The external world stops asking things of her, and the internal world finally gets space to speak. Distractions fade. Noise drops. The constant self-monitoring that kept desire contained all day becomes unsustainable. Control is exhausting, and by nightfall, it's depleted. That's when the editing shuts down. The rationalizations weaken. The rules lose their authority. And what was suppressed doesn't knock, it resurfaces. Desire doesn't return as fantasy alone. It returns as pressure, as a physical awareness she can't argue away, as images, sensations, impulses that don't need permission to exist. During the day, desire stays quiet because it knows it won't be heard. There's too much pretending to do, too many expectations to meet, too much identity to maintain. But night removes the mask, and without the mask, desire no longer needs to hide. This is why nights feel heavier, why thoughts loop, why sleep doesn't come easily. It's not because she's lonely. It's because the part of her that wants is finally unopposed. Desire doesn't speak when she's busy pretending. It waits. And when pretending ends, it takes the microphone. At the center of her sleepless nights is a single conflict that never fully resolves. What she wants versus who she believes she must be. Desire doesn't scare her because it's intense. It scares her because it contradicts the identity she's spent years constructing. The disciplined woman, the respectable one, the version of herself that makes sense to other people. Desire doesn't ask politely, it challenges that structure. It threatens the moral story she tells herself about who she is, the reputation she's carefully maintained, and the sense of control she uses to feel safe in the world. So desire gets handled, not honored. During the day, it's rationalized. This is just a phase. This doesn't mean anything. I'm overthinking. It's minimized, reduced to curiosity, blamed on stress, framed as temporary noise. And when it can't be dismissed, it's delayed. Later. Not now. After things settle. After life makes more sense. Daylight gives her the tools to keep desire in check, because daylight supports self-image. There are rules, mirrors, consequences. Desire doesn't disappear, it goes underground. But suppression isn't neutral. It builds pressure. The more tightly self-image is held, the more force desire gathers beneath it. Control doesn't weaken desire, it concentrates it. That's why the pull feels so aggressive at night. All the restraint, all the editing, all the rational explanations lose their grip when there's no audience left to impress. The self-image relaxes just enough for the suppressed part to surge forward, demanding to be acknowledged. This is the dark truth most people avoid because it's uncomfortable and dangerous to admit. The stronger her self-image, the more violent the desire beneath it. Not violent in action, but in intensity, in insistence, in how loudly it refuses to be ignored. The version of herself she shows the world is built on control. The version that keeps her awake is built on hunger. And the longer those two remain at war, the louder the nights become. Men are not the cause of her sleepless nights. They are distractions, symbols that get blamed because they're easier to point at than what's actually happening inside her. A man doesn't create desire, he triggers it. He acts as a mirror, reflecting back a version of herself she doesn't fully recognize but can't ignore. He becomes a catalyst, not because he's extraordinary, but because he activates something that was already waiting. From the outside, it looks like fixation. From the inside, it's recognition. This is where men misunderstand their importance. She doesn't want him in the way men imagine. She wants what he unlocks. The confidence she feels when she's seen differently. The looseness in her body when control drops. The emotional charge that reminds her she's more than the role she plays during the day. Remove the man, and the hunger doesn't vanish. It just looks for another surface to reflect itself against, because the source was never external. Desire works like internal debt. Years of suppression accumulate interest quietly, every time she tells herself, not now. The balance grows. Every time she chooses control over expression, the account deepens. Men don't create that debt. They simply activate the balance. One look, one tone, one moment of recognition is enough to bring the total into awareness. And awareness is what keeps her awake, not the man himself. This is why blocking, distancing, or moving on rarely solves the problem. The loop continues because the hunger hasn't been addressed. The trigger disappears, but the pressure remains. Another symbol eventually takes its place. Another mirror. Another catalyst. The pattern repeats until the real issue is faced. So understand this clearly, without ego or illusion. Men don't haunt her mind. Her unexpressed hunger does. And hunger doesn't disappear just because you remove the plate it briefly reflected itself in. The loop is always the same, and that's what makes it exhausting. All day, she suppresses. She keeps herself busy, productive, controlled. She tells herself the feeling isn't important, that it will pass, that it doesn't deserve attention. She chooses discipline over curiosity and convinces herself that restraint is strength. By evening, she's spent, not physically, mentally. The effort of holding herself together has drained her more than the day itself. And when night arrives, the defenses finally loosen. That's when the mind circles back. What was pushed aside resurfaces. Thoughts replay. Sensations return. Fantasies appear uninvited, carrying the same emotional charge they were denied hours earlier. She tells herself it's just imagination, just tension, just something to get through until morning. And eventually, exhaustion wins enough for sleep to arrive. But before it does, she makes the same promise she always makes. Tomorrow I'll be stronger. Tomorrow I'll stop thinking about this. Tomorrow I'll be in control again. Morning comes, The promise resets. Control returns. The cycle repeats. This loop has a cost. Insomnia isn't the problem. It's the symptom. Anxiety grows because nothing ever resolves. Fantasy mixes with guilt because desire never gets daylight. Only secrecy. The mind starts associating rest with tension instead of relief. Night becomes a battleground instead of a refuge. And because the desire is never expressed, never integrated, it grows louder each time it's revisited. Suppression doesn't quiet it. Repetition trains it. That's the brutal truth most people avoid naming because it implicates restraint itself. Desire without expression turns into obsession, not because desire is pathological, but because it's unfinished. Anything left unresolved demands attention. The mind doesn't let go of what it hasn't metabolized, so it returns to it again and again, night after night, not seeking pleasure, but closure. And until that closure exists, sleep will always come second. This is where men misread the situation completely and inflate their role in a story that was never about them. They tell themselves, "She's obsessed with me," or "She's lonely," or the most common one, "She just wants attention." These interpretations feel good because they place the man at the center. They turn her internal struggle into external validation. But they're wrong, and believing them is how men walk straight into confusion, escalation, or disappointment. The reality is quieter and far less flattering. She's not obsessed with you, she's wrestling with herself. You are incidental, not central. You didn't create the tension, you intersected with it. What's keeping her awake existed long before you entered the picture, and it will exist after you leave. You didn't become the problem, you became the spark. The moment her internal balance was already unstable, your presence simply illuminated it. This is why her behavior feels disproportionate. Why attention can feel intense one moment and distant the next. Men interpret that fluctuation as manipulation or mixed signals. In truth, it's regulation. She's trying to regain control over something that slipped through during the day and refuses to quiet down at night. The focus shifts because the battle isn't about connection, it's about containment. This is also why trying to win her attention backfires. You think she wants reassurance, validation, or pursuit. What she wants, whether she realizes it or not, is relief from the internal tug-of-war. And no amount of male attention resolves that. In fact, it often amplifies it. The more you lean in, the louder the conflict becomes. Because now desire threatens to move from fantasy into consequence. So understand this, without ego and without illusion. You are not the goal. You are the spark. And the line that saves you from misreading everything that follows is simple and unforgiving. She's not losing sleep over you. She's losing sleep over control. If you understand what's really happening at night, the playbook becomes simple and unforgiving. There are only two ways to fail, and most men instinctively choose one of them. The first is escalation. You push, you lean in, you try to turn tension into action. That feels decisive, but it's destructive. Escalation amplifies guilt. It takes a private internal conflict and threatens to make it real. Pressure turns desire into a threat, because now it carries consequences she's not ready to hold. What felt alive becomes dangerous, and the nervous system reacts by shutting everything down. The second failure looks safer, but it's just as damaging. Collapse. Emotional retreat. You pull back too hard. You soften. You disappear in the name of respect or patience. But desire doesn't stabilize in a vacuum. Emotional withdrawal breaks polarity. It removes the structure. Desire needs to stay contained. Instead of calming the moment, you leave her alone with it. And when desire has no structure, it doesn't resolve, it spirals. The correct positioning lives between those extremes. First, be the place, not the solution. You don't fix desire. You don't solve it. You contain it. Containment means steadiness, presence without pressure. It means being someone whose energy doesn't demand resolution. That alone lowers internal panic. Second, mirror calm, not hunger. Hunger intensifies her conflict because it reflects the urgency she's already fighting. Calm does the opposite. Calm stabilizes the nervous system. It tells her that nothing needs to happen right now, that this space can hold tension without forcing it to become something else. Third, let desire exist without forcing resolution. Night is about tension, not answers. Desire wants to be acknowledged before it wants to be acted on. When you don't rush to define it, own it, or extract it, you give it room to reveal its true shape. Hold this mental model tightly, because it separates you from almost everyone else. I don't chase desire. I don't flee it. I let it reveal itself. That posture isn't passive. It's disciplined. And discipline is the only thing desire respects when it's already out of control. At the end of all this, the mistake people keep making is romanticizing what's happening. Desire isn't poetry. It isn't destiny. It isn't longing wrapped in mystery. What keeps her awake at night isn't romance. It's unfinished business. Desire that was never integrated, never expressed honestly, never given permission to exist without judgment. When something is pushed aside long enough, it doesn't fade into memory. It waits, and waiting turns desire into pressure. This is why the nights feel heavier than the days. During the day, she can manage herself. She can negotiate. She can delay. But night doesn't negotiate. Night removes the noise and leaves her alone with what's unresolved. The body remembers what the mind keeps postponing. Desire isn't asking for fantasy, it's asking for acknowledgement, for permission to be felt without immediately being controlled, moralized, or erased. That's the final truth hiding underneath everything you've heard. What keeps her awake isn't longing for a man, it's longing for permission. Permission to feel without consequence. Permission to want without explanation. Permission to exist without editing herself into something smaller. Men become symbols in this process because they are external triggers for an internal reckoning. But the reckoning would exist with or without them. This is why sleep doesn't come easily, because sleep requires resolution, and desire that's never allowed daylight never resolves. It loops. It tightens. It demands attention in the only place left where it can't be interrupted. The bed isn't where desire is created. It's where it stops being silenced, where the mask finally drops and the self that was managed all day gets to speak. Once you see this clearly, the mystery disappears. There's nothing romantic about it. There's nothing flattering about it. It's human, psychological, predictable, Desire doesn't want drama. It wants acknowledgement. And until that happens, night will always be louder than day. If you've made it to the end, the shift should be clear. You're not meant to feel flattered by any of this. Flattery clouds judgment. You're not meant to react emotionally either, because reaction hands control to forces you don't understand yet. What this perspective gives you instead is awareness, and awareness is quiet, grounded, unimpressed. It doesn't inflate your importance or diminish hers. It simply sees what's happening without needing to participate in the chaos. An aware man doesn't confuse intensity with meaning. He doesn't mistake sleepless desire for destiny. He understands that when desire surfaces at night, it's not asking to be chased or solved. It's asking to be recognized for what it is: unfinished internal work. That understanding keeps you from stepping into roles you were never meant to play. Savior, villain, obsession, distraction. You don't become any of them because you don't need to. This awareness changes how you move. You stop reading desire as a compliment. You stop personalizing tension. You stop assuming that attention equals intention. And because you're no longer reacting, you don't escalate or collapse. You remain steady, present without pressure, detached without indifference. That balance is rare, and it's what keeps you intact when others get pulled under by dynamics they don't understand. The goal was never to teach you how to become the object of desire. Objects get consumed. They get projected onto. They get discarded when the reflection shifts. Awareness keeps you out of that cycle. It lets you recognize when you're being used as a mirror for someone else's internal hunger, without resenting it or feeding it. That's the final frame to hold on to as you leave this conversation. Understanding desire isn't about becoming the object. It's about not being consumed by the reflection.